The James River Armory M-14, let's check it out. The M-14 was the very last battle rifle that was issued to the U.S. military. After that, the assault rifle, or the M16, replaced the M14 in 1964. The funny thing is, this has one of the shortest services for a standard issue rifle for the U.S. military, only next to the Craig Jorgensen. But this also has the honor of being the longest serving rifle in the U.S. military arsenal. These are still being currently used today in a number of different roles in all of the different military branches. In fact, over in the Middle East, because of the power of the 308 or 7.62 NATO at longer ranges, these were even considered to be brought back into full service with the U.S. Army. Now, this M14 is from James River Armory, and they are known for making some of the best historically accurate military firearms in the world. Whether it's the AK-47, the 1903 Springfield, the Garand, but also the M14 Rockola, which they own the name Rockola, and use those blueprints, and that allows them to be really close to the original specs. Now, one of the problems is a lot of the M14 surplus parts are just disappearing, and you can't get them any longer, or if you can, they're very expensive. They teamed up with Bula Defense systems, which makes some of the best M14s in the world at this point. They make some really high-end rifles, and this is a forged receiver from Bula Defense. In fact, this is the only M14 forged receiver. All the other M14s or M1As that you have out on the market are cast, and that really adds a lot of value to this rifle. But not only that, Bula Defense also makes the barrels for these guns, and they are immaculate. This is a 22-inch barrel. They do make a paratrooper model, which is a 19.5-inch barrel. A lot of the parts are made by Bula Defense. James River Armory actually has some of the parts available. They offer the stocks, and these are black walnut stocks. They're absolutely beautiful. And they do all the assembling. And this is fairly a new rifle assembled. Now, there may be a couple of surplus parts on this rifle, and we'll take a look to see what we can find. But overall, this is one of the best M14s or M1As that I've seen. Now, I got this rifle from Classic Firearms, and they are the exclusive distributor for the James River Armory M14s. In fact, they'll be available in a number of places, including a lot of local dealers. And I want to thank Classic Firearms for sending this gorgeous rifle. We're going to do just a full review, looking over the rifle, taking it out to the range, and checking it out. But there are a lot of other videos coming around this rifle. There's always been something about the M14 that I just love. I mean, I'm a big fan of the Garand already, but you know, the Garand was just 8 rounds, and adding that box magazine made a world of difference. You know, they did shave off about 1 pound from this rifle because of some of the shortening of the wood and some of the other features, but this makes it a very handy rifle, whereas the Garand is just such a classic. But this definitely makes it more maneuverable, and one of the reasons why it's still serving in the U.S. military. A lot of that has, though, to do with the accuracy and the caliber. Now, there's no denying that the M1 Garand is the father to the M14. I mean, there's a lot of the same features all the way through the rifle, the way the action's built. And, of course, this was in 30-06, which we went down to the 308, which, again, is really effective. And again, there's about 1 pound difference between the two rifles. You have an 8-round, and then with the M14, you had a 20-round box magazine, which was detachable, and you can switch that out. So there were a lot of exceptional things that went on with the M14 over the old Garand, but the Garand served very well from the early 30s all the way up until Korea. The M14 cost the U.S. government $104 back in 1959 through 1964. Now, these were very effective in .308. The range was great. The ballistics were good. A very strong rifle. But now, some of the problems with the M14 was they were very heavy. And in the jungles of Vietnam, it was kind of tough going through brush because of the long barrel. The wood stocks would swell, which would affect accuracy. They actually started issuing fiberglass stocks for these right before they were replaced. But there were a few that actually got into service with the fiberglass stocks, which reduced the weight. And then again, also brought the swelling down on the wood. Now, in the Select Fire version, these would shoot 750 rounds per minute. But the big problem was they were uncontrollable. So these were not really used that often in the full auto mode. They were just really too light to be used for full auto. One of the funny things about this rifle when it was introduced was it was to replace the Garand, the carbine, the Thompson machine gun, and the 45 submachine gun or the grease gun. And that was going to take care of all four of those rifles when it was introduced. But after a lot of testing and trial, they realized that that just wasn't the case. We're going to remove the magazine, check to make sure the chamber is empty, and it is. If nothing else, the receiver makes this rifle superior to any M14 M1A on the market. All of your other M14 M1A receivers are cast. The finish is absolutely impeccable. Now, I've already been to the range with this one, shot quite a few rounds through it, but even then, this rifle coming from the factory was just in beautiful condition. And it's a new rifle. The smoothness of the action is just slick. It's got the peep sights on the back that are fully adjustable with windage and elevation. You have a slot for your stripper clips, and the charging handle, just bring it back like this. And it's very easy to grab hold of. It's not sharp, it's very simple. Of course, we have the trigger guard with the trigger and our safety, and it's just bringing it into place. When you want to disengage your safety, just push it right out. Your mag release right here. And the magazines go in and pop back into place. The 20 round box magazine, guys, that was a huge plus for this rifle, definitely over the Garand. Of course, removing the magazine, you just grab it, pull down, pop back into place. One great thing about these rifles is that there are surplus parts out there. There are a number of companies that make a lot of different accessories for this rifle. These have been used in the national matches for a long time, for a number of years, as the preferred rifle. Because it is so accurate. Now, on most of your M14s, the handguard was actually changed to a fiberglass piece, and this is retaining the original design of the M14, which I think is beautiful. We have a 22-inch barrel with your flash hider. Of course, you have your sights, a bayonet lug, and then also your gas system. And then right here, you can turn this into the horizontal position, and it will shut the gas off. Turn it up, and of course this allows the gas and the semi-automatic function to flow. It's a very simple process, but the finish on these parts is just excellent. The markings on the rifle are very close to U.S. military markings, and then we have right here on the back of the receiver, U.S. rifle 7.62 millimeter M14, James River Armory. Now, Bula made these, Bula Defense, but since James River is marketing these receivers, they have that stamped right here on the receiver and then the serial number. But right here on the bolt, which again is forged, you have Bula. Right here on the stock, we have the eagle with the arrows and the 3 stars. Then right here on the pistol grip, we have a P with a circle. Here's your bolt stop, and we have a place right here for your scope mount, which actually will fit here and then replace the guide for your stripper clip. And it's also according to what kind of scope mount that you want to buy. There's a number of different ones to go on the M14 M1A. Now we have the metal buttstock, which is a hinged piece that kind of pulls up. You have a small trap door here for your cleaning kit. But one of the reasons why this pops up at an angle is because you'd actually place this over your shoulder when you were firing select fire or full auto. And that way the muzzle wouldn't rise too fast. It would actually brace it on your shoulder. And even in a rapid fire semi-automatic, it works pretty good. Then when you're finished, just pop it down. It's actually a spring detent to hold this into place. Have a mount for your sling on the back and also here on the front. And the black walnut stock is just gorgeous. I mean, again, this is brand new. It's not one of the surplus stocks. You know, the surplus stock I have on my Garand looks like it went through a hailstorm. And I have a couple of M1 carbines, the same thing. You know, you can get some pretty decent finishes, but this is to period. It even, when I opened the case, it smelled like one of the issued rifles. It comes with one 20-round magazine. You can get extra magazines in a lot of different places. I know I picked up a few at Brownell's just recently, and they're just excellent magazines. One thing about this one in particular, it was a little bit tough to take in and out when I first got the rifle, but you know, that's just the tight tolerances. One of the things too about tight tolerances is because this rifle is new and the parts are new, these can be fitted correctly. And they're using all the standard military protocol to put these together, all the blueprints, and that really helps to make these guns really tight and to function really well. We had zero malfunctions with the rifle at all. I mean, there were just no malfunctions. From the first round all the way, I think we put 260 rounds through this rifle, and we've got more coming up. We're going to compare this again directly to the Garand, to the Springfield Armory M1A, and also the FN-FAL, but is actually the DSA SA-58, which is a very comparable rifle for the time. I want to thank Freedom Munitions for sponsoring the ammo. We're shooting some 150 grain. This is the remanufactured ammunition, and Full Metal Jacket. And you get a 5% discount using Such00 on the Freedom Munitions website. The M14 is a heavy rifle. I mean, the wood stock, the fairly heavy, bulky type receiver, which was able to withstand a lot of abuse in the field. And it's just a good solid action. It's piston driven, it's air cooled, and very similar again to the Garand. And that was a world proven firearm. But one of the things about this rifle is because of 308, you know, the recoil would seem to be pretty heavy, but honestly, it was very manageable. I mean, the way the gun shot, it was very flat shooting. A lot has to do with the heft, but it also has to do with the gas system and the compensator right here on the end of the muzzle. This was really, guys, I'm telling you, a joy to shoot. Sitting down at the bench, the gun is just superbly accurate. Now, one of the things we're going to be doing is taking this out to the 1,000-yard range and doing some real shooting. We're going to do some real testing with this rifle to see what it's capable of. In fact, I've got a scope mount coming from Brownell's, and we're going to put a nice scope on here and really test this out, because I have a feeling that this is going to be something else. In fact, I've heard reports that these rifles have been matched to national match M14 rifles or M1As, and they can outshoot them. So we're going to find out. Now, the 308 ammunition that I had was the Freedom Munitions 150 grain remanufactured. I went ahead and shot a 25-yard group just to find out where I was on paper. And it was very good. I was very pleased with it. You know, setting up a 25-yard zero, you can get it out to about 250 yards. Now, we're going to be really getting some accuracy down on this rifle once we get the scope mount and get a scope mounted, and we're going to be using some of the Federal Premium, and this is the gold medal match. It's the 168 grain. So I didn't want to spend a lot of time, but I just wanted to kind of find where this rifle was hitting, and I was very pleased so far. I mean, 25 yards is short, but at least I can get on paper, and now I'm going to be able to really hone this in at longer ranges. We're going to be getting this out to the 1,000-yard range, and that's really going to tell the tale. Now, it comes with a James River Armory Do Everything manual, and this actually goes through all the breakdown processes of the rifle, a lot of information, and this is excellent. But one of the things that it does say is that you don't want to disassemble your rifle a lot of times. Excessive disassembly of the rifle can loosen up parts over time. Things just to field strip. One of the things that a lot of people do is they buy a piece that'll fit inside the chamber, and it kind of sets in the chamber, and that way you can use your bore brush and keep the bore clean without total disassembly. And also, you know, with your slide stop locked into place, if the bore brush hits that receiver, it'll bring it on forward. But now that we've made sure the gun is unloaded, the magazine's empty, Right here at the trigger guard, just pull down. If it's a very tight rifle, there's a hole here you can put a tool in and bring it through. Grab hold of the trigger and just pull the action right out. Now you can see how big and beefy the parts are in your trigger group. And of course, right here is your safety. If we pull that back, it actually blocks the hammer from being able to go forward, and the sear. It actually locks it right into place. And so it's a very secure safety. Bula is also marked on the trigger assembly as well. To remove the stock, grab hold of the receiver, and on a padded bench, just bring your stock down like that, and it'll just loosen up the action. And that way you have your action out, and of course you can see all the different, the recoil spring, the gas system. We're not going to go ahead and break all of this down now. We'll do it at a later date when we show a complete disassembly of this rifle. But the main reason I wanted to go ahead and get it to this point is for you to see the inside. And you can see Bula markings right here on the operating rod, the barrel under here, and of course it's marked underneath. Just a very beautiful finished piece. I mean, looks like it's nitride finish, and just the interior of this rifle is just excellent. Of course, here with the inside of the receiver, just very well done. And again, this rifle has not been cleaned. We've shot again about 260 rounds, and so it's just a beautiful piece. Then marked right here on the receiver, Bula Defense Systems, Cleveland, Ohio. The James River Armory, though, is located in Burgaw, North Carolina. The rifle is 44 inches, including the flash hider. On my scale, it weighed 9 pounds, 5.7 ounces. So it is a fairly heavy rifle. But again, you're shooting .308, you want stability at the bench. Even while you're holding it, this really helps to mitigate recoil. Makes it a real pleasure to shoot. The price on the James River Armory M14 is $1,499.99, or add a penny and it's $1,500, which is comparable with most of your M1As and other M14s that are out on the market. But that leads us to our pros and cons. The pros, first and foremost, the forged receiver. It's unmatched. There's no other M14 out there with the forged receiver, the Bula forged receiver, which they're known for excellence. And they produce a lot of real high-end M14 variants. I mean, they really modernized those rifles. I think they even have a bullpup design. Also with the Bula barrel, which is extremely accurate, very well made, and the other parts, the forged bolt from Bula, and then of course all the other parts that are made, the beautiful black walnut stock, just made to military specifications, and even the finish. I mean, it's just gorgeous. Of course, you know, you've got your 20-round box magazine, so that puts it over the top with the Garand. And the accuracy, of course, we'll really get down to accuracy when we get this rifle out to distance. The fit and finish, excellent. As far as the price goes, you know, $1,500 is a lot of money to spend, but not necessarily for an M14 M1A rifle, especially of this quality. You know, you get what you pay for. So I think the price is in line with what you're getting with this rifle. And then again, you go out to your dealers and different places, you should be able to get that for less. The caliber is excellent, .308. There's tons of different choices for ammunition. It fires the 7.62 by 5.1 NATO fine, and it also fires .308 Winchester fine. Parts and accessories are going to be easily replaced and easy to find. Because the M1A M14 is a very popular rifle, parts, accessories, magazines, slings, and there's a ton of surplus parts out on the market. As far as cons go, it's heavy. Yeah, it definitely has some recoil to it with the .308 over some of the lesser caliber rifles. The price at $1,500, you know, that's for what you're getting. That's not really a con, but you know, it's definitely a con to some that just can't afford $1,500 for a rifle. The only con as far as anything on this particular rifle, I had a little trouble getting the magazine in and out the first few times, but it didn't take long for it to work out, and I think that's just because of the tight tolerances, and I'll need to check it out to see if there's any burrs. But really, after I did it a few times, I really didn't have any other issues. And other than that, no issues whatsoever. I'm going to give this a 9.9 for the M14, because I think this is just one of the best M14 rifles on the market. So you can go over to the James River Armory website, check out all the details. And I want to thank Ben at Classic Firearms for sending this rifle. This is just a gorgeous piece of history, and once you take it out to the range, guys, I mean, this is a dream rifle. And in 7.62 NATO or .308, You know, you've got a lot of power behind it, you've got a lot of range, and it's just got a lot of soul to it. Be strong, be of good courage. God bless America, long live the Republic. Even though when you were firing in the fully automatic from Brownells a while back was really, and also with the Bula barrel, which will be very, the James River Armory M-14, let's check it out. The James River M-14, let's check it out. The James River Armory M-14, let's check it out.